Welcome to Bird Survival Code. I am your guide into the unforgiving yet deeply fascinating heart of the wild. Have you ever looked at a massive 1,000-pound beast, a creature capable of crushing a predator with a single stomp, and wondered how a bird no bigger than the palm of your hand dares to call that beast its home? Today, I want to take you on an intimate journey deep into the African savannah. This isn't just a story about birds picking at insects. This is a cinematic, raw and unfiltered look at survival, true grit, and the unbreakable, silent bond between mother and child in one of the harshest environments on our planet. Listen closely to the ambient symphony of the wilderness. You can hear the dry, scorching wind whistling through the brittle thorns of the acacia trees. You can feel the heavy, stifling heat radiating from the baked earth. In this vast, sun-drenched expanse, time slips quietly by, measured not by hours on a clock, but by the slow, inevitable shifting of the shadows across the dust. Hidden away in the suffocating darkness of a hollowed-out tree trunk, the young red-billed oxpeckers begin to grow. I want you to picture this hidden sanctuary. The smell of dry wood, the claustrophobic warmth, and the distant, low rumbling of migrating herds shaking the very roots of the tree. For these tiny fledglings, the world outside is a terrifying, deafening mystery, filled with predators and unforgiving elements. But they cannot hide in the dark forever. With steady, soft, rhythmic calls of encouragement from their parents, a crisp, high-pitched trill cutting through the heavy air, they finally step out onto the ledge. They take their very first flights. And let me tell you, it isn't a graceful soaring into the clouds. It is a frantic, heart-pounding struggle. Imagine the chaotic fluttering of inexperienced wings, the frantic grasp of tiny claws grabbing at the empty air, the sudden, overwhelming rush of the dusty Savannah wind catching their delicate feathers. They tumble, they drop, they recover, and eventually, their wings catch the updraft. They soar, and with that terrifying leap of faith, they begin the first real, brutal lesson of their lives. I need you to understand that out here in the African bush, survival isn't taught in a safe, quiet nest. That lesson unfolds entirely on the backs of moving, breathing giants. Through the shimmering heat waves of the mid-morning sun, their mother leads them toward a towering, dark silhouette moving slowly through the tall, yellow grass. An African Cape buffalo. This is a creature of immense, primal power. Picture a living, breathing mountain of muscle, cloaked in a thick, coarse coat of dark hair. Its hide is armored with cracked, gray mud from a recent wallow and deeply folded skin that looks like ancient leather. The buffalo breathes heavily, its massive chest rising and falling like a giant bellows, while a dark, relentless cloud of biting flies buzzes angrily around its curving horns. Hidden deep within those thick folds of skin, nestled safely in the dried, crumbling mud, are tiny, blood-engorged ticks. For the giant buffalo, these parasites are an endless, itchy torment. But for the oxpecker, they are the ultimate prize. They are the protein of life. I want you to watch the mother bird closely now. She lands on the buffalo's broad, dusty back with the effortless, calculated grace of a seasoned warrior. Every single movement of her bright, crimson-red bill is deliberate. She doesn't just peck blindly at the mud. She knows exactly where to search, her sharp eyes sweeping across the rugged, miniature landscape of the buffalo's hide. She listens, she observes them strike, she knows precisely how to pull. She applies just the right amount of leverage to extract the stubborn tick without ever losing her perfect balance, even as the great beast shifts its massive weight in the thick mud below. The youngster, however, is an entirely different story. It is still awkward, its muscles tense and unaccustomed to the sheer unpredictability of this living, moving terrain. As it attempts its first landing, its tiny claws scramble frantically against the hardened, slick mud of the buffalo's flank. Its bright red bill slips clumsily against the coarse, oily hair. I want you to feel the tension in this moment. The young bird stumbles backward, its wings flapping wildly to regain its balance, nearly tumbling into the lethal, trampling hooves below, whenever the massive buffalo suddenly flicks an ear to swat away a fly. That single, casual flick of an ear sends a violent shockwave through the young bird's tiny, fragile body. But here is the beautiful, hidden code of survival in the wild. After every single mistake, the baby bird tries again. It readjusts its grip. It hops forward on trembling legs. It fails again, and again, and again. The wind howls softly, carrying the scent of dry earth, but the young bird ignores it all. Slowly, agonizingly, it begins to adapt to the heavy, swaying rhythm of the giant beneath it. Just as the young oxpecker finally finds a momentary footing, the lesson shifts abruptly. From the rumbling, broad back of the buffalo, The pair takes to the air once more, their wings slicing through the hot air, moving upward to the incredibly steep, towering shoulder of a giraffe. If the buffalo was a moving mountain, this giraffe is a swaying biological skyscraper. Up here, bathed in the blinding light of the afternoon sun, I can tell you that the ground beneath the young bird never truly stands still. The altitude is dizzying. The wind whips past at a much higher speed, threatening to tear the small fledgling directly from its perch. The giraffe's skin is a completely different texture, taut, muscular, and covered in a short, dusty coat adorned with that iconic, breathtaking pattern of golden brown polygons. A single, slow, majestic step from the long-legged giraffe is enough to shift the young bird's entire world, sending it swaying back and forth like a pendulum in the sky. It is a terrifying new challenge. But watch closely what happens next. The young bird learns to crouch much lower against the golden coat, flattening its small, aerodynamic body to reduce wind resistance. It learns to spread its sharp claws wider, gripping tightly onto the short hairs, anchoring itself firmly against the relentless, rhythmic motion of the giraffe's stride. It learns to search patiently, methodically, tracking its vision through the short dust. Through all of this dizzying chaos, it does one vital thing. It watches every single move its mother makes. It observes her perfect posture, her unbothered demeanor, and then, with unwavering determination, it copies her. Step by step, little by little, the wild is testing it, and the young bird is finally learning how to answer. As the burning sun reaches its absolute zenith, casting harsh, unforgiving shadows across the baked earth, the lesson continues. But the classroom changes again. The mother oxpecker takes flight, diving toward the edge of a stagnant, murky waterhole. She lands on the broad, glistening back of a hippopotamus. I want you to imagine the sheer, overwhelming presence of this creature. The hippo is a massive, semi-aquatic tank, a living island resting in the shallow, mud-thickened water. For the young bird, this is an entirely different surface to conquer. It is no longer the dry hair of the buffalo or the dusty, taut skin of the giraffe. The hippo's hide is a bizarre, treacherous landscape. It is heavy, intensely damp, and covered in thick, armor-like plates of dried, cracked mud. Between these hardened, crusty layers are deep, dark folds of soft, sensitive, pinkish-gray skin. The air here is thick with humidity and the pungent smell of algae and wet earth. The heat radiating from the hippo's massive body is palpable. The young bird lands, its tiny claws immediately struggling to find purchase. It picks its way carefully across the hardened mud, stepping delicately, much like a mountaineer navigating a treacherous, unpredictable glacier. One wrong step and its claws slide helplessly into the slick, damp creases below. The deep folds of the hippo's skin are like dark, moisture-filled ravines, acting as perfect, hidden incubators for the most stubborn and deeply embedded parasites. The mother knows these ravines intimately. She doesn't hesitate. The young bird watches intently as its mother expertly inspects the deep, fleshy folds, using her sharp bill like a surgeon's scalpel to wedge into the damp skin and extract the hidden prey. The youngster absorbs this visual information, processing the geometry of the hippo's hide. Trembling slightly, it moves away from its mother's shadow. It approaches a dark fold on its own. It leans down, its crimson bill probing the slick, wet crevice. It feels the resistance of a buried parasite. It adjusts its stance, grips the wet mud tightly with its sharp claws, and pulls. And there it is. At long last, with a satisfying, sharp tug, the young bird pulls free its very first tick. It throws its head back and swallows the rich, blood-engorged morsel. That single bite is a burst of vital protein, a sudden surge of life-sustaining energy. But more importantly, it is the ultimate reward for its relentless persistence. It is the taste of true independence. One brutal, demanding lesson after another. The sun begins its slow descent, painting the African sky in deep, bruised hues of violet and burning orange. The final classroom of the day presents itself on the open plains, the muscular, sloping shoulder of a grazing zebra. If you have ever stared at a zebra moving through the tall grass, you know how visually disorienting they can be. Among the dizzying, contrasting maze of black and white stripes, predators are easily confused. But for the young oxpecker, this optical illusion is just another environmental puzzle to solve. Watch the young bird now. Notice the profound transformation that has occurred in just a single day. It moves across the zebra's back with a growing, undeniable confidence. The frantic, clumsy scrambling is completely gone. It no longer hesitates before a strike. Its movements are fluid, calculated, and sharp. It scans the hypnotic pattern of the hide, chooses the precise edge of a black stripe, where the hair slightly thickens, lowers its bill, searches carefully, and removes another tick. It does this with a far steadier, deadlier precision than ever before. The nervous, stumbling fledgling of the morning has vanished, replaced by a focused, capable survivor. This incredible transformation reveals a profound truth about the wild. Observe the mother. She never teaches with loud, demanding calls. She never forces the young bird into positions it isn't ready for, and most importantly, she never does the heavy work for it. If she fed the fledgling every time it stumbled, it would inevitably die the moment she was gone. Nature is a ruthless judge, and it does not forgive weakness. So, she simply moves ahead, acts as a living compass, shows the way, and allows the young bird to learn through its own sheer, unyielding determination. This is the ultimate survival code. Among the thundering herds of buffalo, the towering heights of the giraffes, the damp, treacherous backs of the hippos, and the dizzying, hypnotic stripes of the zebras, a young, red-billed oxpecker begins to truly understand the relentless rhythm of life on the African savanna. The rules are incredibly simple, yet brutally hard to master. Hold your footing, no matter how the ground beneath you shakes. Watch carefully, because your environment holds both your salvation and your doom. And above all, try again after every single failure. Because out here, failure isn't the end, it is simply the price of adaptation. And in the quiet, stoic persistence of the wild, that is exactly how a tiny, fragile bird finds its permanent, vital place in a vast, dangerous world that is far, far greater than itself. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey deep into the African bush. If you found yourself captivated by this intimate look at wildlife survival, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below, letting me know which magnificent giant of the savannah you would want to witness in person. Until next time, respect the wild and keep exploring.